Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. It's where we blend spirituality and practicality to help you live a life of purpose and joy. This is part 2 of my conversation with galactic astrologist Julia Balaz. I found her so fascinating, and our conversation went long, so we're releasing it in back-to-back episodes. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends. Now, let's continue the conversation with Julia. So, Julia, this is so fascinating. You are extraordinary, and I have so many more questions for you. Are you okay if we go long and we just do this in 2 parts?
Of course,
And
I would love to. Let's do that.
okay,
Time flies by when we talk about these things, and it's so energizing. We can keep going, of course.
me too. I feel the same way. I keep getting goosebumps when you say something, and that means that it's profound, and it means that it's validation from spirit that I'm getting that. Do you see common galactic soul origins in Earthlings? Does that sound like a Jetsons term from the cartoon from the 60s in Earthlings? You had mentioned earlier that you see like Pleiades and Sirius and that kind of thing. Do you see that there are just a handful of star systems or other planets in the people with whom you work, or are you seeing a multitude of them?
There's a multitude, hundreds, I would for sure, but there is what do you call it? Law of attraction is working in all of our lives. So I have my certain point of attraction. So I keep attracting quite a variety because I myself in my own chart have so many different stars. Like my whole chart is activated galactically. So, but what I see a lot is this multi-galactic signature where and you can understand it also from human biology. At this time we are linked to so many different lineages, right? I myself even physiologically am a combination of a Nordic lineage and south all the way to the Black Sea, through my mother's lineage, the Nordic, and through my father's lineage, the Black Sea. So, and there, so many, if you look at your human DNA signature through taking your saliva swab and then sending it to a company that gives you the map of how far your DNA spreads. At this point of our human history, we're that hybridized. I don't really like that word, but now extend that to star connections, considering that there are highly advanced human civilizations that have interstellar travel developed and in use for hundreds of thousands of years, where they also are able to terraform planets to start again in different worlds. Like we have human civilizations that colonize many different worlds and many different star systems. And so at this point, we are connected to multitude of stars, star seeds, and there is certain DNA that feels like cousins because they interconnected through connection in multiple star systems and interstellar travel. We are just so interconnected at this point.
Can you give us an example of those cousins?
So the Lyran connection would be like the most ancient human ancestors that then, through the development of interstellar travel through far distances on massive space arcs that carried the humans, but also animals and plant life and DNA of their original star systems and planets on these massive space arcs, just like Noah's Ark. They would take life forms to new stars and planets. So from there, they would actually come. Some of them would come to Earth very, very, very long time ago, to the Nordic parts. Then they would leave for Pleiades and met other Lyrans that went directly to Pleiades, and then came back to Earth as Pleiadians that remembered their original, like Lyran humans from Earth. They would have also seeded Syrian star systems, planets. Some would have gone to Orion, some to Alpha Centauri, some to Beta Centauri. These are all within our fair proximity of, 400 to 800 light years away. And they all look like us, like humans. In fact, if they walked side by side you and wore, everyday human clothes, you wouldn't even recognize them. They look so like us.
So are they amongst us now?
I wholeheartedly believe so. And I know people that know people that would have been either Pleiadians or Alpha Centaurians on Earth, working in very specific roles to support the evolution of either technologies or different things on Earth. So yes, absolutely.
Are they scattered all over the Earth, or do you find that they're in certain geographical locations?
All over the Earth. Well, in particular, see, there are so many secret companies and programs taking place with bases all over the Earth. So it would be widespread. But I think the bigger message here is that it's going to become publicly known. And I believe because of the astrological alignment of Uranus on the Pleiades this entire year, with another object called Sedna, which has the orbit that is the longest, and it traverses through the outer space of our solar system for tens of thousands of years, and only during certain times of this grand cosmic cycle, this object comes closest to the Earth, which is now during these years, and it's coming also with the Pleiades and Uranus conjunction. So I think that plays such a significant role in awakening our human consciousness, and in Pleiades being talked about left, right, and center on social media. And by the end of this transit, I feel by the spring 2026, we will have high probability of disclosure of human Pleiadian extraterrestrial life in public media. I think that's such an opportunity, and I like it. It would just make so much sense based on this transit. But just watch the space for how much there will be the Pleiadian agenda on throughout the internet. It'll just be so activated, because if you think about it, for human collective that still has so much to do in terms of resolving and dissolving trauma in relation to extraterrestrial life that was imposed on us through movies, projecting fearful state in terms of connecting with aliens that want to destroy us or eat us and whatnot. We still have so much unconscious fear in our collective consciousness that we are actively working on. Many people in the woke community would dedicate to helping with that. And also the rapid growth of regression hypnosis, where people are dealing with their abductions and dissolving the trauma. That all is helping the healing of the collective unconscious and kind of allowing for the reality to open and shift to us actually embrace the connection of our human ancestors coming from stars. And the most likely extraterrestrial race that the public could accept would be those that look just like us, right? They wouldn't want to see these different shapes like mantis humanoid beings, or all other kinds, blue skin, green skin, grays. There's so many different types of human extraterrestrial beings with different DNA.
So how did you get to do this? Are you an astrophysicist? Do you come from a family of people that are really interested in the stars and astrology or astronomy stuff? How'd you get so smart and so wise so fast? Because you're not that old.
Yeah, no one in my family, but coincidentally, my mother knew a guy who was librarian. He seems to like her a lot, and somehow through conversation, he thought she's interested in esoterics and paranormal, and he kept giving her these magazines that even talked about extraterrestrial life and paranormal stuff, and she just kept accepting these magazines and bring them home and just ignoring them. And but I was the one that read them, so it was clearly for me. And I was from very early age lived very self-reflective, almost like a Gnostic experience of parallel awareness of the higher consciousness awareness and the human body consciousness. And then in my early teens, I discovered astrology. So was deeply involved with studying deep psychology and why we are the way we are. And then when I was 33, I quit my corporate career and started doing regression hypnosis after years of learning different techniques and modalities while doing the corporate stuff. But at the age of 33, I was like, I can't pretend anymore. I need to come out of the closet, and never looked back. So it was really the rapid evolution or deep understanding of how our souls evolve over many incarnations and how interconnected we are with cosmos and the stars happened through witnessing thousands of stories of regression, and then studying astrology as well, and of course having access to internet, seeing.
Right. You mentioned a couple of minutes ago about that the starseeds came to the Nordic region. Can you say more about that? There seems to be this special magical stuff that goes on in the Nordic region, and I'm sure there is everywhere, but that one in particular seems to have a little bit of extra sparkle in my short exploration of these different cultures. What's that all about?
So the Pleiadian DNA, so the story that I've shared where the original human ancestors coming from Lyran star system that found Earth before it was colonized by any other extraterrestrial human beings, they found this beautiful Eden in the Nordic countries that were not that cold at that time. It was a beautiful, perfect Mediterranean-like climate in the Nordic countries at the time, hundreds.
And those would include what countries as we know them today?
Scandinavia. Eventually, the DNA would spread through all of these Nordic countries in time, but initially it would have been Scandinavia. But then, as Earth was discovered by other extraterrestrial human beings who established their colonies in different locations, and thousands of years of that reign of different kingdoms, we could say, that eventually as the consciousness was descending and greed started taking over and war started taking over, those Scandinavian peaceful civilization decided to leave Earth. They didn't want to partake in any of these conflicts, and they settled in Pleiades, where they knew that their ancestors settled directly from Lyra. So, we're speaking, these are stories that span over thousands upon thousands of years and civilization's development. So they came originally from Lyra to Scandinavia, lived there for several generations, then left to Pleiades, leaving some portion of humans behind. And so there was this trauma of being left, and it's such an archetypal experience of separation that we are transmuting as a collective as well, that is originating with these mass exodus of souls from a star system due to external forces pushing them to experience their own hero's journey and find new way to start somewhere else from scratch. And then how do you bring your traditions and honor the ancestors and honor the original divine design of your nation, the hero's journey, and the creator's story as well, of the fractalization from unity consciousness into infinite variations so that you can know yourself. Because it's holographic and fractal, we can just see the echo of the same story played out in so many different ways. But you were asking about this special DNA of these Nordics that would have then later been reverted to as these extraordinary beings that have special abilities. So when the star beings left for Pleiades, then came back thousands of years later to returning to Earth to connect. We're speaking about civilization that is advanced enough to have the telepathic communication and connect with source, feel the universal cycles, connect with star systems, like us at this time, and we don't even consider ourselves as developed. You're able to tap to so many different spheres and realms. So these civilizations were masters at connecting with higher wisdom. And most of all, we didn't even mention these guardians of time, space, continuum, these seeders beings, seeder races, and the master genetists, beings that work solely with preparing planetary system for human souls incarnations. So what I've mentioned here today is human beings that are third density or fourth density incarnations. And now I just mentioned higher density beings of perhaps sixth and seventh density that are not even incarnating in human bodies. They are like these plasmic beings. They're connected to the no time, no space continuum. And from there, they create in physical realities and prepare worlds for souls that want to evolve, because Source is infinitely joyfully creative, evolving through all these different fractals of itself, right?
I'm thinking the movie The Guardians of the Galaxy. Isn't that
beautiful.
a series of movies? When you just mentioned that, I'm thinking, isn't that a movie? All right. I still want you to do my chart, but I got a couple of other questions before we get to that. Do you find that people from the same galactic origins have the same struggles in their human lives that they're trying to figure out and work through and alchemize, for lack of a better word?
There certainly are themes that I can see over and over with same star systems. So, for example, if the Lyran stars are connected in hard aspects, geometrical terms, square opposition, then people in their soul records would have memory of ancient wars that occurred in Lyra by the invasion of Draconian civilization that is all about conquering and destroying and manipulating. So I see it a lot. So if someone has these square alignments or opposition to Lyra, and then I would look at their even life experience, that story of that ancient, most ancient memory of trauma of mighty scale would be echoing then all the way to this incarnation. So they would be born to a country that was invaded and experience war, and then they had to migrate. And it's an opportunity for them to revisit the unresolved emotions that got stuck in their soul system, so that it can be released, so that they don't have to continue reliving the story over and over again. I really believe that we, when we are going through these difficult experiences and we see the echoes of them throughout the soul records and through galactic astrology, take it as an opportunity to be at peace with what is, really bring that unconditional love of your oversoul into the physical body so it can process and release, most of all, release the emotion by feeling it, but no longer resisting it. And like by magic, light comes in, and it's a ripple effect of the soul history. And then going forward, you reconnect to your divine birthright to feel safe in this universe, which was blocked by this stuck trauma memory for so long. So I see that story repeated over and over with Lyran connections. Orion stars alignments, again, if in square or opposition, these people would often be experiencing a theme of intense polarity, conflicts in their life experience. And it's an echo of what they lived in Orion, also wars. It's like the war from Lyra that moved on from star system to star system, bringing an opportunity for an evolution of consciousness. And I have a belief that the evil force, the darkness, is assisting light to reach its highest potential, or it's assisting evolution. If we're too complacent, too comfortable, we tend to just not really tap to our greatest potential of the strength and courage and creativity and adaptability and all that. And of course, it's a big topic that can be explored. But so talking about Orion, this polarity, and they are guided to master polarity, to stop being polarized either one way or the other, and then fighting for the which perspective is right, finding the unified higher perspective of accepting the fractal fragmentation of many different perspectives, essentially leading to same thing if we really reach a higher perspective on any topic. Starseeds that, for example, have crux, acrux stars, Algol, Perseus, Hydra, Alphard. There are multiple stars where their presence in people's charts, these would have experienced very heavy family trauma conditioning. But these souls would also usually have, because of these stars, they have an ability to hold space for intense darkness. I would see it in holistic practitioners who deal with sexual trauma in their clients, all kinds of abuse. And they're the types of people that can manage that without exhausting themselves. They can hold safe space for the darkest corners of human experience. So there are definitely themes that repeat, and it's quite fascinating. I actually have a presentation on that available on my possibly YouTube channel, maybe portion of it, but on Patreon for like $3, where I go through these different themes that you can clearly see, and then people, when they find it, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm doing. It's like it's right there.
Yeah, interesting. How does knowing somebody's galactic origin help them in their lives? Does it increase their abundance? Does it increase the quality of their relationships or their health or all of the above? What's the benefit of knowing, okay, I came from wherever as a starseed? How does that help people?
First of all, it's is being seen in your truth is highly activating and validating for people who went through life believing that they're very limited in terms of who they are, who they can be, what they should be, realizing that that is an identity that they inherited through the familial conditioning, the societal conditioning, something that they never really were happy in. It was very limiting and dragging them down. Now, when they realize that they actually have they remember the truth of their soul, where they came from and what that means for them, it immediately helps to dissolve the limiting perception that they had of themselves, and suddenly feeling more expanded in their energetical field. And naturally, as a result, that'll attract beautiful synchronicity and alignment, and new people, new relationships come to their life, or suddenly they see choices and opportunities that they didn't see before. So it can be very activating. And then it's just a stage two of yet another label that has its limits. And then essentially, or eventually, my hope is for anyone who goes down the route of exploring their galactic connection, once you see how normal it is, and or how common it is to have these star origins, you get to a point of realizing that the thing that connects us all is our ability to love, create, share, support each other. Like, we become this big family, and it doesn't matter if you're Pleiadian or Arcturian or Sirian. It doesn't matter. It's all about returning to the capacity to love and support and evolve together as a harmonious civilization. So ideally, that's the stage where we're all heading.
Is that a Beatles song? All you need is love. Da, 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 da. That's what comes in my head when you say that, and I completely agree. Can you share a story with us about how someone's life changed when they learned their galactic origin?
Wow. You know, I received so many comments and so many emails. Like, I would always say, it's life changing. It's life changing. My life is not the same. I've heard so many of these. And then the exact detail, it's really the shift in your consciousness. And as I said, the expanded energetic field is the factor that creates the ripple effect of positive changes. Again, seeing choices and opportunities that you didn't see before. And when you align with your greatest soul's gifts and qualities, and you start acting on it, either taking a path of Galactic Astrology practitioner, I would see those stories of life's change, I suppose, the best, from someone who was at the brink of losing their home, literally having their children getting assistance in preparing them for what that will be like, to being booked out for a year ahead with Galactic Astrology sessions. So having, secure living. This was at the very start, when one of the early practitioners were taking the wave of my over year-long waiting list, when I had to take a decision to just stop doing sessions and instead teach people to do what I do, so that there is no waiting list, so that everyone can receive that assistance. But yeah, people changing careers completely from, we have people from all walks of life, including scientists and even astronomer, big corporate jobs, who changed career completely and started doing galactic astrology because it's so fulfilling and so expanding. And every session offers another deeper look into this epic cosmic orchestration of evolving consciousness.
I find the same thing in my trainings as well, not the galactic, I'm not doing the galactic thing, but people from all walks of life, and then they incorporate the woo-woo into whatever they're doing. And oftentimes they will change careers because it's not fulfilling, and they know how to follow the guidance now. They know how to hear it. They know how to break through all the noise and validate the information they get.
What I see as a beautiful evolution of what I started is people who are drawn to this as a modality that they want to practice, especially those that already studied and practice completely different holistic modality. They're adding the galactic information to what they were doing. So now we have these beautiful hybrids, modalities that, whether it's Reiki practitioners that look at the galactic story of their clients, and they follow the transits and let actuarians work with them very particularly on a day when Arcturus is aligned with a sun or moon or whatnot. Gene Keys practitioners expand that galactic perspective, human design, family constellations, animal communication. We have practitioners who do animal birth charts too. And surprise, surprise, horses that are I just actually have a podcast that we're editing now that'll be released. We have a practitioner who is working with horses that were injured, would be euthanized, but she takes them on and they become the healing horses and they work with human traumas. And then she looks at their chart and it's like, oh my goodness, they have this particular alignment, like either Syrian, which is really good. Sirius connection is very good for Star Series, is very good for physical body healing. Arcturian alignments is really strong with practitioners who work on emotional trauma healing. So animals too have connection. You can see how the story just goes on and on.
Interesting. I never thought about that, but that would make sense. Yeah, that you knew when they were born. Okay, so what'd you come up with?
So I entered your birth details and your chart is just packed with the galactic information and many star conjunctions as suspected. So I'm just so happy to see this. I'll send you a copy of it so you can share it on the screen if you will. But you have conjunctions. So again, it means it's the strongest connection because the star system is directly in alignment with a planet at the time of your birth. I also pay attention to oppositions and trines and sextiles and squares because they all reveal different parts of the story in terms of relationship dynamics in connection to that star system memory. But having a lot of conjunctions is something that I see with what I call the galactic ambassadors, and really just repeating what I said at the very beginning, that if you are someone, people with this type of placements are pushed to a position of influence where they connect with way more people than someone who doesn't have these many stars in their chart. You know, some people's role is to be stationary in one place, in one location, and just fully focusing on one particular thing where they only interact with small number of people. They wouldn't need all these different stars in their chart. They literally don't need it. But people who are on a mission where they are supposed to influence a greater number of people, they usually have extra codes, extra star codes to support that experience. So starting with the Pleiades that we mentioned is conjunct your natal sun, and it's in the 4th house, which connects to the ancestors. So you even have the looks of it. So I would, if you look at your genealogy, if you look at your human DNA, you possibly would have some connection to a location where it's literally human Pleiadian DNA that was seeded on Earth, that's within your genetics based on what I see in your chart. Do you know if you have any European connection at all?
Oh, yeah, a lot of German, a lot of German, primarily Irish, a little Polish in there too, but primarily German, and then I would say Irish, and then just like a smattering of Polish.
Yeah, so it's very likely that that lineage carries the human Pleiadian DNA. Okay. Your Mercury is connected to star in Andromeda. You also have that, strong Andromedan feminine leadership frequency, the builder, and the self-confidence too. I'm not sure if you've ever had any issue with confidence. I can't even imagine, but with as certainly as what you bring out in your public role in Andromedan females, their culture, what's the good word, celebrates or embraces strong feminine leadership. So women who have a strong Andromedan connection in their chart, they usually answer the call to be courageous and speak up and be a leader in their community where they're guided. So that's there too. And also your lunar node, your soul's evolutionary journey from previous incarnations to your future incarnation also connects to the Andromeda. So that Andromedan frequency is something that wants to be anchored in your consciousness quite strongly. So whenever you will hear Andromedan transmission somewhere, I'm sure there are channelers of Andromedan frequency. Have a look, or even yourself, just call on your Andromedan star connections and see what information wants to come through. But again, it'll be connected to leadership and fulfilling your role of the influence that you may have on the human collective. It's in your house of communication as your identity. So it's interesting that you do what you do. It's perfectly aligned. Aries North Node. Okay. Your South Node, which is where you came from, the star Algorab, is present, and that is the connection to the other side. People who have this connection, they have their clairs developed naturally because it's something that they used in previous incarnations too. It just comes naturally. They don't have to work hard at it. You can feel, sense the spirit world, and that's I see that repeatedly with the Algorab connection for you. That's in the 9th house, so it's very likely that you were a teacher, communicator, seer, guide, communing with the other side in previous incarnations too, and in fact reached even prominent position likely as a result of that. So it's not like you're doing this for the first time. Okay, you have star Arcturus on your moon, so that is beautiful, and that's the scientific background that you have. Arcturians have many scientists have the Arcturian connection, and also in the 9th house on your moon in Libra. So what I always see with the Arcturians is two expression. One is the ability to focus, learn, study, and see patterns and create something scientific, and the other is this strongly compassionate, high compassion capacity. And for you, it's in your moon, so you can really hold space for other people's suffering. And what you do, that Arcturian frequency come through your moon, through your heart, and it's healing for others. Others feel safe in that experience. And it's interesting that the Algorab and Arcturus is there again, something that I would see with healers who hold space for others. So there's, these galactic energies work with you and through you when you offer yourself in service this way. Your natal Neptune in early degrees of Scorpio is conjunct the Shapley attractor. So we have the galactic center that our Milky Way galaxy is revolving around. That is revolving around supergalactic center with 33 other galaxies, mighty magnetic force, and all that is revolving around the great attractor, pulling together thousands of galaxies, and all that together is pulling around or orbiting around the Shapley attractor, which is almost incomprehensible, the mighty force that is behind it. So what we noticed that particular astrological degree, which with quite wide orb of influence, having that conjunct a natal planet is often seen in people of great influence. It's an unconscious, invisible force that is moving mountains even. So for you, it's Neptune. So you have direct connection to source frequency. You could, in practice, it's easy to tap to Akashic records. In practice, you can see the truth in someone. In practice, for you, it's also in 10th house of your career and public service. So you're meant to use your intuition as a direct source to the utter truth inside the depths of our soul or human body in healing as you do. So that's quite fascinating to have that there. That's such a magnetic frequency that serves your mission as a healer, teacher, guide that you are. You also have Jupiter conjunct your midheaven. Midheaven is the point of the highest light of your chart highest attention and how you serve the public. What's your mission that is visible to the world, or how do you show up in your highest expression? And that's conjunct Alpha Centauri. So you have that beautiful connection between your sun, conjunct Pleiades, and Alpha Centauri is on the opposite direction. So based on everything I see here, I would not be surprised if you did live in ancient Atlantis. In fact, I'm like 90% sure that you did, because you also have Pluto conjunct Regulus, and you probably had higher status position in the Atlantean times. So if we look at the asteroid Atlantis, which I don't have accessible with the chart on our website yet, we are working on adding that. I'm going to have to email you about that just to confirm or validate that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, these are just your conjunctions, and then there is a whole full chart of these trine, sextile, squares, and oppositions formed. There's just like so much more there, but just even from these main ones, clearly a multi-galactic starseed. I wouldn't be surprised if you came from that like solar being that is very, these. I'm not 100% sure if all souls. I don't think all souls experience themselves as a star. Possibly, if we have these billions of stars, we might actually douse on that. But those that have this conscious connection to remembering their solar essence are naturally guided through life to be in the position where they can emanate that frequency into the world, because Earth called for it. This star system called for it. It needed more light and love that's unconditional to be anchored on Earth. So it's quite beautiful to see that in your chart.
That's a lot. I'm going to have to listen to that several times to digest all of that. But thank you for doing it. And I love that it's an example to those that are listening and watching, when they want to get their charts done, of what can come through, the information that can come through, which is so fascinating, from your birth details. Again, you can't make this stuff up. It's just it's blowing my mind again. I know I've said that several times.
Did it resonate with you, what I shared?
Oh,
Did it make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, there is more. This is literally just, we are so ancient. You can zoom in on many different areas. You can ask about your relationships. You can ask about your career, your health, your whatever dark night of the soul. You then look at the transits and see where the planets are currently and what is being activated, because it is through astrology we see how every significant event in our life, from child of your birth of your child, weddings, marriages, passings, they are happening at the precise time when certain planets lock together, so that these passages of experience can occur. It doesn't happen before a transit. It doesn't happen after. It happens precisely when there is exact geometrical, mathematical configuration for these things to happen. It feels to me like we are a reflection of these celestial bodies in human form, and vice versa. They reflect our consciousness back to us, and it almost feels like we are the stars. We are cosmos, especially when we tap to that brainwave state, when we are one with all. But it's just beautiful to see how we can communicate with divine design through something like this.
All right, 2 last questions as we're winding down. I could talk to you for days, but 2 last questions. Are there a couple of things that everybody can do that would be simple things that would help them really be able to focus on and live and experience all the positive ramifications of their galactic origins, perhaps without even having their charts done? I mean, is there something that it would be simple for people to incorporate into their lives right now as we're winding down this
such a beautiful question. Yes. Before I answer it clearly with a practice, I want to say that what I loved seeing over and over again is that we are all guided from within our own being to align with our destiny. When I held space for thousands of clients who told me their entire life story and then even their past life stories through regression, they had no idea about their astrology. They have no clue, absolutely no idea what their zodiac signs are and whatnot. Yet, when I looked at their birth chart and the transits after their session, it was all there. So even if you don't know anything about astrology and you don't particularly feel guided to or excited about, looking at patterns, doing pattern recognition and engaging the left brain, but also the right brain hemisphere very much. We're really bringing these together, the left and right in this particular modality. You just keep developing your connection with your, I call it higher heart, your soul's heart. I always feel it's like slightly above, like right here, between the throat chakra and the like physical human heart. I feel the higher heart is here, and it's like beautiful turquoise color, just like those gorgeous things in the sky. What do we call them? The Nordic lights. Some of them. So what is also important to mention as people start connecting with the galactic beings for the first time is do not do that before you address heavy trauma that you consciously may be aware of within your immediate life, like childhood or family. For people who have gone through a lot and didn't yet go through the experience of healing, where they find their, like heavy duty trauma I'm talking about, it's safer to park all this completely and just work with your current life experience, connect with the earth, let the trees and the sea and literally the frequency of earth herself and the sun that is highly activating at this time work with you before you start exploring all this. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is it's the attraction point that we have based on our field energetically. If we hold a lot of trauma, you see it yourself that you may likely be attracting relationships that keep affirming the conditionings of the past trauma as an opportunity for you to look at that and resolve it, so that eventually you stop attracting the same kind of conditioning and pattern. If you have that in your life experience where you keep attracting difficult experiences over and over, extend that to galactic, to other beings. And through law of attraction, you may well then attract lower density consciousness or beings that don't necessarily have the best intentions of humanity at heart, because they're out there too. It's not all just nice and dandy. Is that the expression? I do want to mention that as a word of precaution. However, if you are in your life experience already where you have cleaned a lot of the debris of the previous conditionings and you can see the reality aligning beautifully for you, you're absolutely safe to expand with your prayer to call in your star soul family and to give hope to those that are still heavily conditioned by trauma. Just make sure that you're praying to connect with your true soul family. You're not just opening to call in any beings, because sometimes people do that in not knowing, not understanding how much of a variety is out there. They just want the hype of connecting with some extraterrestrial being and completely just blank statement, and you can attract anything. So just be very specific and precise in what you are calling into your life. Just connect with your true soul family that connects with the intention of highest love and support on your evolutionary journey. So what the practice or the just simple prayer that I would encourage people to do is connecting with nature with your bare feet, if you can, or just feeling your heart chakra, and say, imagine the roots coming down to the earth, honoring the earth, because first and foremost, we are here for her, and we're here with her, and we are grateful that she holds this space for us so unconditionally, for so many ecosystems to go through this experience of evolution. So honoring the earth, honoring the ancestors that walk this earth before you, and then expanding to the crown chakra, to the cosmos, calling in the ancestors from the stars that are connected to you, and calling them to hold a sacred space for your growth and evolution, guiding you, supporting you in whatever way is most appropriate for you at this time. Something in those lines. But it's important to ground and root to the earth before you connect to the sky. It's extremely important. It's paramount, because if you don't do that, you go then through the experience of literally the physical body almost like burning out, or not being able to uphold the very high frequencies that sometimes can really come through as you start tapping into your galactic families, and you feel ungrounded. And I've experienced it myself many years ago, to the point where you almost struggle to communicate because you're so high up, ungrounded. So just keep grounding when you're connecting to your star soul family. Does that help?
That's beautiful. Yes. Thank you for that. Last question. Why do we incarnate?
To experience the evolution in the physical form, learning to manipulate energy. It's such a heavy word. Transform energy. Manipulate energy in all its forms. As I said, turning lead into gold, really just experiencing our own free will in action and creating something, to experience the process of being a creator, being the like consciously aware, embodied fractal of the I am that wants to know itself in all its forms.
Beautifully said. Well, my goodness, you are absolutely extraordinary. You are beyond impressive with your eloquence and your ability to translate this complex mathematical stuff with the astronomy, and then you add the or the astrology, and then you add the astronomy to it. And that's way above my pay grade to be able to do all that math all together. And you communicate it so beautifully and in such an easily absorbable way that I am so impressed with you and so delighted to have had this long conversation with you. We're going to have you back because I got more questions. And I just I'm just so impressed and so grateful that you took the time to come be with us today. How can people learn more about you and your work?
Thank you so much, Julie. Before I share that, I do want to pay respect to everyone else who is on a similar journey as I am. All those many thousands of astrologers, well, maybe not thousands, maybe hundreds, who feel guided to explore these things, or people using different modalities. There are so many amazing systems. Like, I really don't feel, I feel a whole collective walking side by side with me. So because we all chip in, it's easier and easier for us to be able to perceive this. So I just want to say that I really, whenever I receive this praise, I feel everyone else with me too.
I do as well. I agree with you on
Good.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. So everything can be found on my website, Julia Balaz, Balaz, juliabalaz.com. There is a lot of free content on my YouTube channel, Galactic Astrology, which I opened to my certified practitioners community, who now share amazing content in terms of everyday guidance through the galactic transits. So many beautiful, deep, gorgeous insights. And so, for example, if people go to the free calculator website, galacticastrochart.com, they put in their birth details and you notice any of these star systems names, then you can go to the Galactic Astrology YouTube channel, search for, let's say, Pleiades and their beautiful videos on what it means if you have a Pleiadian connection, what it means when you have Andromedan connections. So explore the free content on my 2 YouTube channels, Galactic Astrology and Julia Balaz YouTube channel. And then if it really excites you and you feel your heart expanding and you want to learn more, you can consider the online courses. There are 3 different tiers from complete beginner, when you have absolutely no clue about astrology. I'll take you from scratch to as far as you want to go and enjoy your life transforming with this expanded perspective.
Okay, so we'll reference all of that in the show notes.
Thank
Lots
you.
to unpack here, everybody. And I know there are just a multitude of golden nuggets here for all of us. I, for one, am going to have to listen to this at least one more time, maybe several, just to absorb everything.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Julie. Just one thing I didn't mention is if people don't want to study this or even look at this, if they find it overwhelming, but they still want to know what information like I shared with you and more, they can book a session with any of our practitioners. We now have practitioners offering Galactic Astrology soul reading in over 22 languages. So you can choose from over 70 people listed on the page. When you go to Julia Balaz, look for practitioners, and they offer a variety of different sessions. So you can just contact them directly and have your awakening through Galactic Astrology or activation through Galactic Astrology. So thank you, Julie, for everything you do too.
You bet. You bet. In the meantime, we're sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama. Mwah! And from Ireland, too, from Joya. This is Joya and Julie signing off. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us, everybody. To enhance your spiritual journey, click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends.